The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with the usual hum of debate and political maneuvering, but none of it mattered to Elaine Mercer. She sat silently, her hands clenched around a holographic photo of her daughter, Hannah. Only days ago, Hannah had stood beside her during the peaceful protest on Omicron Colony, a demonstration meant to advocate for fair resource distribution. Now, that small girl with an infectious laugh was gone, her life snuffed out by a stray plasma bolt fired recklessly by an Empire enforcer. The images haunted Elaine. Hannah's bright eyes, her innocent questions about why people couldn't just share, her tiny hand clutching a banner for peace. All of it was now a memory, replaced by the cold, unfeeling dismissal of the Galactic Empire. When Earth's diplomats reached out for an explanation, they were met with hollow words. A regrettable incident, the Empire's representative had said. Necessary actions to maintain order. Elaine could still feel the cold fury of that moment. The phrase, collateral damage, echoed in her mind like a hammer striking an anvil. They hadn't even bothered to apologize, as though Hannah's life, and the lives of others who perished that day, meant less than the dust kicked up by their armored boots. She stood now, her grief held in check by sheer willpower, as Earth's leadership convened to discuss their response. The room was tense. Politicians and military officials sat in a circle, their holographic displays glowing with data on the Empire's forces, trade routes, and strongholds. Admiral Kale broke the silence. We've petitioned every corner of the Council for action, and we've been ignored. The Empire remains untouchable, protected by its own laws and the cowardice of those who refuse to challenge them. It's time we stop asking for justice and start taking it. Elaine's voice, quiet but firm, cut through the tension. They didn't just kill my daughter. They killed the idea that humanity could ever find peace in this galaxy while bending to the Empire's will. If we allow this to stand, we're telling them that human lives have no value. She paused, her gaze piercing each member present. Are we prepared to live with that? President Armin, a man known for his measured responses, looked up from his notes. Ambassador Mercer, what you're suggesting, retaliation, would mean war. The consequences could be catastrophic. Billions of lives could be lost. Elaine stepped forward, her tone unwavering. And how many lives will we lose if we do nothing? How many more children will die under the Empire's boot while we debate morality? My daughter's death was not an isolated incident, it was a message. They wanted to remind us of our place. I say it's time we rewrite the message. The room fell silent. For a moment, only the faint hum of the holographic displays could be heard. Then, Admiral Kale stood, his voice carrying the weight of years spent in battle. If we're doing this, we need precision. Striking randomly will only unite the galaxy against us. But if we can cripple their infrastructure, disrupt their power at its core, we might have a chance. Armin sighed heavily, his shoulders slumping. You're proposing Protocol Zero, aren't you? The phrase sent a chill through the room. Protocol Zero had been a closely guarded secret, known only to the highest-ranking officials. It was a last resort plan, designed for the day when humanity faced an existential threat. It wasn't just a military strategy. It was an all-out declaration of Earth's willingness to fight without limits. Kale nodded. It's the only way. We deploy our stealth fleets, target their strategic outposts, and cripple their ability to retaliate. This isn't about conquering territory, it's about survival. Elaine's voice softened, but her determination remained clear. This isn't just survival. It's justice. If we do this, we show the galaxy that human lives are not expendable. We don't need their approval. We need their respect. The debate continued for hours, but the decision was inevitable. The weight of Hannah's death, and the countless others who had suffered under the Empire's rule, pushed them toward the brink. By the end of the meeting, the room was filled with grim resolve. Back on Earth, preparations began immediately. In the vast shipyards orbiting the planet, sleek black vessels emerged from their docks, their hulls shimmering with the light of advanced cloaking technology. Engineers worked tirelessly, fine-tuning systems that had never been tested in real combat. In hidden labs, scientists activated dormant AI systems designed to analyze and adapt to battlefield conditions in real time. Elaine watched from the observation deck as the fleet assembled. She had fought for peace her entire career, but now she found herself at the center of a war she had never wanted. Yet, in her heart, she felt no regret. She thought of Hannah, her laughter, her dreams, and the world she would never see. This wasn't just about vengeance. It was about ensuring that no other parent would ever endure the pain she now carried. Before the fleet departed, Elaine addressed the soldiers gathered on the command carrier's main deck. Her voice was steady, though every word carried the weight of her loss. "This is not a war we sought, but it is one we must fight. The Empire believes humanity is weak, that we will kneel when they trample over our lives. They are wrong. We fight not just for ourselves, but for every life they've devalued, for every voice they've silenced. Let this be the last time they take from us." As the fleet disappeared into the void, Elaine turned away from the window. The path ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity would no longer be underestimated. The silence of space was broken by the shimmering distortions of cloaked vessels emerging into hostile territory. Earth's stealth fleet had arrived at its first target, a critical Empire outpost orbiting the gas giant Vethran 4. The outpost was a hub for resource extraction and military coordination, a key node in the Empire's vast web of control. Without warning, the assault began. The attack was surgical, devastating, and swift. Humanity's fleet employed advanced quantum phase weaponry, bypassing traditional energy shields that the Empire had relied on for centuries. Entire sections of the outpost were disabled within seconds, their power grids fried by electromagnetic pulses designed to cripple, not kill. Yet, where resistance was met, humanity's forces showed no hesitation in delivering fatal precision strikes. Within minutes, the Empire's once proud outpost was reduced to a floating graveyard. On the Empire's capital world, the sudden loss of the outpost sent shockwaves through its military command. Reports flooded in from other sectors as Earth's fleet executed its coordinated strikes. Shipyards, supply depots, and orbital defense stations fell one by one, each obliterated with a terrifying efficiency. What unnerved the Empire most wasn't just the destruction, it was the silence. No declarations of war, no boasts of conquest, just action. Cold, calculated, and relentless. Back aboard Earth's flagship, Admiral Kale monitored the progress with grim satisfaction. "They've spent centuries perfecting their dominance," he remarked to his officers. "But like any empire built on fear, they've grown complacent. They'll never see us coming." Each attack was designed not only to cripple the Empire's infrastructure but to send a clear message. Humanity wasn't merely lashing out in anger, they were dismantling the very foundation of the Empire's power. With each strike, Earth demonstrated its superior adaptability and strategic ingenuity. In one sector, an Empire fleet attempted to intercept the stealth vessels, only to find their tracking systems scrambled by countermeasures. In another, Earth deployed unmanned drones capable of executing complex maneuvers, overwhelming the Empire's defenses through sheer unpredictability. Yet, this was no mindless war of destruction. The leaders of Earth had made it clear: collateral damage was unacceptable. Civilians were to be spared at all costs, a principle that set humanity apart from its enemy. To this end, Earth's operatives broadcast warnings ahead of major strikes, urging non-combatants to evacuate. These broadcasts served a dual purpose, not only protecting innocents but also sowing seeds of doubt among the Empire's citizens. For the first time, many began to question the narrative they had been fed about humanity's supposed barbarism. Despite these efforts, resistance grew fiercer as the Empire scrambled to respond. At the starship manufacturing hub of Dresden Prime, Earth's fleet encountered a heavily fortified stronghold. The ensuing battle was unlike any before. Empire forces, desperate to protect one of their last remaining production facilities, threw everything they had into the fight. Swarms of fighters launched from the station, their coordinated attacks testing even the most advanced of Earth's technologies. Admiral Kale, unshaken, gave the order that turned the tide. "Deploy the Valkyries," he commanded, referring to Earth's newest class of semi-autonomous combat ships. These sleek, Agile vessels operated with an AI core that could process and counter enemy tactics in real time. As the Valkyries entered the fray, the battlefield became a symphony of calculated destruction. Empire fighters were outmaneuvered at every turn, their formations shattered as the AI anticipated their every move. The stronghold fell within hours. Meanwhile, Earth's diplomatic efforts continued behind the scenes. Recognizing that a war of attrition would be unsustainable, human envoys reached out to alien factions long oppressed by the Empire. In hidden meetings held on neutral worlds, humanity presented a compelling case. "We do not seek to replace their tyranny with our own," one envoy declared. "We seek a galaxy where all species are free to thrive without fear. Join us, and together we can dismantle the chains that bind us all." These appeals resonated deeply. For centuries, many alien species had endured the Empire's exploitation, their resources drained, their cultures suppressed. Now, they saw in humanity a kindred spirit, a species that refused to bow, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Slowly but surely, alliances began to form. Small at first, but growing stronger with each passing day. The Empire, for its part, was far from defeated. In their desperation, they unleashed their most fearsome weapon, a fleet of dreadnoughts equipped with planet-destroying capabilities. These colossal vessels, relics of a bygone era, were designed to instill terror. Their mere presence sent waves of panic across the galaxy as they targeted human colonies in a bid to force Earth's surrender. But humanity was ready. Back on Earth, scientists and engineers had been working tirelessly on a countermeasure. The result was Project Aegis, a planetary defense system capable of intercepting even the most devastating of attacks. When the first dreadnought targeted the colony of New Dawn, Project Aegis was activated. A brilliant beam of energy erupted from the colony's surface, slicing through the dreadnought's shields and rendering it inert. The people of New Dawn watched in awe as the massive vessel, once a symbol of the Empire's might, drifted powerless into the void. Word of the defense system spread quickly, bolstering humanity's reputation as a force to be reckoned with. For every colony they protected, they won the trust and admiration of not only their own people but also their newfound allies. The tide of the war began to turn. Still, Elaine Mercer knew the fight was far from over. The Empire's resolve, though shaken, had not yet broken. And as the scale of humanity's retaliation grew, so too did the risks. Elaine couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was at play, a nagging suspicion that the Empire's actions were being driven by forces unseen. For now, though, the focus remained clear: dismantle the Empire's power structure, piece by piece, until no child's life would ever be considered collateral damage again. The war's momentum was shifting in humanity's favor, but the victories came with unanswered questions. As Earth's forces advanced, strange patterns began to emerge. Empire ships abandoned coordinated formations, outposts fought to the last soldier without any attempt to surrender, and captured officials displayed an unnatural fervor in their resistance. These anomalies gnawed at Admiral Kale's instincts. War was never predictable, but this degree of irrationality defied logic. On a routine mission to secure an abandoned research station, Earth's operatives stumbled upon a critical discovery. The station, located on the barren moon of Ruthless 5, was rumored to house classified Empire data. The mission was simple: infiltrate, extract intelligence, and return without engaging hostiles. But what they found was far from routine. Inside the crumbling structure, the team discovered a laboratory filled with containment pods. Each pod housed a creature unlike anything seen before: small, spindly organisms suspended in a viscous green fluid. At first glance, they appeared lifeless, but scans revealed faint signs of neural activity. Alongside the pods were stacks of data logs, written in a cryptic Empire dialect. As the team worked to extract the files, one of the pods began to pulse. The fluid churned violently, and the creature inside pressed itself against the glass, as though aware of their presence. Back aboard the flagship, the data was analyzed. What it revealed sent shockwaves through Earth's command. The creatures, identified as Xeran parasites, were not just biological anomalies. They were the architects of the Empire's tyranny. Records indicated that the parasites had infiltrated the Empire's ruling class centuries ago, latching onto their hosts' neural systems and manipulating them to spread chaos and domination. The Empire's leaders were nothing more than puppets, their actions driven by the parasites' insatiable hunger for control. Elaine Mercer sat in stunned silence as the implications sank in. "They've weaponized fear," she said, her voice trembling. "The Empire isn't our true enemy. It's these parasites. They've been orchestrating this from the shadows." Admiral Kale, ever pragmatic, leaned forward. "If this is true, then every decision we've made so far has been based on incomplete information. But it doesn't change our objective. The Empire is still a threat, and these parasites make them even more dangerous." The debate among Earth's leadership was fierce. Some argued that the focus should remain on defeating the Empire's military infrastructure, while others, led by Elaine, pushed for a more targeted approach. "If we destroy the Empire without addressing the parasites, we're leaving the door open for another regime to rise under their influence," she insisted. "We have to cut this off at the source." A compromise was reached. Covert teams would be deployed to extract more information about the parasites, while the broader campaign against the Empire continued. The risk was enormous. Any misstep could expose humanity's discovery and give the parasites time to adapt. But the potential reward was too great to ignore. The first mission was launched under complete secrecy. A team of operatives infiltrated an Empire command center rumored to house high-ranking officials. Their objective was clear: capture a host alive and retrieve evidence of parasite activity. The mission was a harrowing success. The team secured a heavily guarded Empire general, his movements sluggish and erratic, as though fighting against an invisible force. Upon extraction, medical scans confirmed their suspicions. A Xeran parasite was embedded deep within his cerebral cortex. The removal process was delicate and dangerous. Earth scientists worked tirelessly to isolate the parasite without killing the host. When the procedure was complete, the general awoke disoriented but lucid for the first time in decades. His testimony was a revelation. We were once a proud people," he said, tears streaming down his face. "The Xerans came, promising unity and strength. We didn't realize the price until it was too late." The general's account painted a chilling picture. The parasites thrived on conflict and despair, using their hosts to create perpetual instability. Every war, every oppressive policy, every senseless act of violence served to feed their power. But the most shocking revelation was their vulnerability. While nearly indestructible within their hosts, the parasites were highly sensitive to certain frequencies of ultraviolet radiation, a weakness humanity could exploit. Armed with this knowledge, Earth scientists began developing a bioweapon capable of targeting the parasites without harming their hosts. It was a race against time. As the war escalated, the Empire's forces grew increasingly erratic, launching desperate offensives that defied all logic. The parasites, it seemed, were aware of humanity's discovery and were determined to crush them before they could act. Elaine spearheaded efforts to rally the growing coalition of alien allies, sharing the truth about the parasites. Her speeches resonated deeply with species long oppressed by the Empire. "This is not just humanity's fight," she declared during a clandestine meeting of rebel leaders. "This is a fight for the soul of the galaxy. Together, we can break their hold and free every being they've enslaved." The coalition grew stronger with each passing day, its members united by a shared purpose. Alien scientists contributed their own knowledge, refining Earth's bioweapon into a powerful yet precise tool. It was a symbol of what could be achieved when disparate species set aside their differences to work toward a common goal. But not everyone was convinced. Within Earth's ranks, dissent began to simmer. Some questioned the morality of using a bioweapon, even against such a malevolent enemy. Others feared that focusing on the parasites would divert resources from the broader war effort. Admiral Kale, ever the realist, voiced his concerns. "If we fail, the parasites will retaliate with a fury we can't imagine. We're gambling everything on one shot." Elaine countered with unwavering resolve. "If we don't take this chance, we're condemning the galaxy to endless cycles of tyranny." Sometimes the greatest risks yield the greatest rewards. The tension came to a head as Earth prepared to launch its final operation. The target was the Empire's capital, a sprawling megacity rumored to house the central hive of parasite activity. The mission would require precision and coordination on a scale never before attempted. Every ship, every soldier, every ally would play a role in ensuring its success. As the fleet mobilized, Elaine addressed the coalition one last time. Her words were a call to arms, but also a reminder of what they were fighting for. We've all suffered under the shadow of the Empire, but today, we strike at the heart of the true enemy. This is not just a battle for survival, it's a battle for freedom, for hope, for the chance to build a future where no one lives in fear. Let us stand together, and let us show the galaxy what it means to be free. The fleet surged forward, its course set. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if humanity's gamble would pay off. The Coalition fleet emerged from hyperspace, its presence an undeniable declaration of defiance. At its center, Earth's flagship carried the bioweapon, Project EOS. Named after the goddess of dawn, it symbolized a new beginning, not just for humanity but for the entire galaxy. The Empire's capital loomed ahead, a sprawling megacity that pulsed with artificial light and military activity. The operation had to be flawless. Failure was not an option. The initial wave of the assault targeted the planet's orbital defenses. Coordinated strikes from human and allied forces dismantled the Empire's powerful laser arrays and ion cannons with surgical precision. Empire ships scrambled to respond, their movements erratic as parasite-controlled commanders struggled to maintain cohesion. Humanity's fleet capitalized on the chaos, maneuvering with a level of precision that left their adversaries bewildered. Amid the chaos, Earth's ground forces deployed, their objective clear: deliver Project EOS to the heart of the Empire's command center, the suspected origin of the parasite infestation. Soldiers moved with determination, supported by allied species who had once feared humanity but now fought by their side. The streets of the capital became a battlefield, the once imposing Empire forces faltering under the Coalition's unified assault. Inside the command center, Elaine Mercer led a diplomatic envoy, their mission to deliver a final ultimatum. Reaching the Empire's inner sanctum, they confronted the highest-ranking officials, their faces pale and eyes hollow, a stark reminder of the parasite's grip. Elaine spoke with a calm yet commanding presence, her words cutting through the tension. This is your only chance. Surrender now, and we will spare your people. Resist, and you risk the extinction of everything you've built. The Empire's officials hesitated, their movements sluggish and uncoordinated. It was clear they were fighting against the parasite's control, but the creatures were too deeply embedded. One of them, struggling to speak, managed a broken plea. We didn't choose this, please end it. The moment crystallized the moral weight of the operation. Humanity was not merely fighting an enemy, they were fighting to free the very people they had come to despise. Elaine nodded, her resolve unshaken. Then we'll end it, for all of us. As the signal was given, Project EOS was activated. A high-frequency pulse emanated from the device, sweeping across the city and beyond. The parasites, sensitive to the radiation, reacted violently. Hosts convulsed as the creatures were forced from their bodies, their spindly forms shriveling under the relentless assault. Empire's soldiers dropped their weapons, collapsing as the parasites were eradicated. But the weapons' effects weren't limited to the capital. Across the galaxy, the pulse traveled via interconnected systems, reaching every corner of the Empire's vast network. Reports flooded in from allied fleets. Parasite-controlled forces were disbanding, their command structures collapsing as hosts regained their autonomy. It was as if a collective weight had been lifted, a veil of oppression torn away. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was free of the parasite's influence. The aftermath, however, was far from simple. Former Empire leaders, now liberated from the parasites, faced the enormity of their actions. Many were overwhelmed with guilt, unable to reconcile their memories with the atrocities committed under the parasite's control. Some sought to atone, pledging their resources to rebuild what had been destroyed. Others, consumed by shame, chose exile. Elaine stood before the Galactic Council, now a coalition of liberated species, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's journey. We didn't seek this war, but we faced it because we had no other choice. Today, we stand together not as conquerors, but as survivors. The parasites may be gone, but our work is far from over. Let this be the beginning of a new era, one where we build bridges instead of walls, where no child's life is deemed collateral damage. The council chambers erupted in a standing ovation, a rare moment of unity in a galaxy long divided. Humanity's actions had not only dismantled the Empire but had also set a precedent for cooperation and understanding. The coalition began drafting a charter to ensure such tyranny would never rise again, a testament to the lessons learned from the conflict. Back on Earth, memorials were erected to honor the lives lost, including a statue of Hannah Mercer, whose death had sparked the fire of resistance. The inscription read, **. In her memory, we found our strength. In our strength, we found our purpose. Elaine stood before the statue, her heart heavy but hopeful. The galaxy had changed, and so had humanity. As the coalition worked to rebuild, humanity returned to its roots, sharing its technology and resources with allies to foster trust and collaboration. For the first time in its history, Earth was not alone. The war had forged bonds that transcended species and borders, creating a foundation for a brighter future. Admiral Kale, ever pragmatic, reflected on the cost of their victory. "We won't be remembered for our weapons," he said to Elaine. "We'll be remembered for what we did after the war. That's our legacy." Elaine nodded, her gaze fixed on the stars. "Then let's make it one worth remembering,"